This podcast contains some magical adult language. Listener discretion is advised. And sorry, Mom.
I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to...
Whoa. You are not Mickey Mouse, you're a rat.
Rat smack! Besides, they're tourists. What do they know?
Welcome to Rat Castle, a progressive chat about theme park magic without the pixie dust. I am your host for this evening, Nathan Hartman, and with me, the only other person with me today, it's a twofer. You're so lucky. Is my dear friend Dave Cobb. Hello, Dave Cobb.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you.
Yeah, so we've got people on maternity leave. We've got people in Egypt. We've got some minor house emergencies. Just everyone. Even Bri, who was like our pitch hitter, was like, I can't make it. So it's just you and me. It's the first time.
The global operation that is Rat Castle is.
Yeah, we are everywhere, to say the least.
Yeah.
And so we are manning. We always say one rat must man each coast. So we still have that going for us. Yeah, we have a sort of a lot going on. Tis the season. I have my Santa mug. I have my
nice.
Dave Cobb mug right here.
That is, I mean, look, I'm starting
much.
to curl. The mustache is long enough that I'm starting to curl it a little bit and style it.
Dave,
so I'm
I
doing
have
like
to
hip
ask.
Santa going on,
Yeah, first of all, you should definitely do some Santa stuff.
I mean, come on.
Probably. You're getting there. Second of all, I am very curious about the Venn diagram of bear culture and Santa culture and where that overlays.
I have many, many friends who do Santa professionally.
I mean, and literally. So.
Oh, hey, and carnally, yeah.
Zing!
I mean, yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
I mean, Santa porn's a thing. Don't look it up. So.
This is off the rails already.
Well, and a lot of the gay bars and bear bars and leather bars will have like sexy Santa night where you get to sit on Santa's lap and he's like some muscle dude with a beard or whatever. But no, I do have friends I have a friend in up in Washington State who does it professionally, and he does a really classic Santa, like with the long red coat, the like burgundy, like old school, and he grows his beard out for it. It's real, and then I have a couple other friends who do it on the East Coast. One of them's on I think a local billboard for something. He sent me a picture that he got some like advertising work as Santa. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I know those guys. I also know what they look like naked. So there you go.
It comes with the territory.
Santa's allowed to be an adult outside of
Santa's
Christmas.
allowed. Santa's got 364 days of the year. You got nothing else to do. So,
except for Mrs. Claus. In some cases.
Yeah. Who
He's
who
Pan.
is also?
I'm
I
sure
guess,
Santa. I'm sure Santa's Pan at this point.
Mrs. Claus is also a beard, I guess, technically. Yeah. Anyway, ho ho ho.
I gotta start practicing that.
That's pretty good. So we have. We should mention, of course, for those visual watchers of the show, you currently have. You've not been beaten on the street or anything like that. Gross.
No, I know, it's gross. It's gross. I know. No, I slipped and hit a doorknob. It's okay, Jason. I just slipped and hit a doorknob. No, it's one of those. That's not funny to joke about. It's just one of those broken blood vessels. Like I woke up and it was there. I must have sneezed or whatever. So it's gross.
Crazy.
I'm basically keep telling people you should have seen the other guy because that's a better story.
Eyes are like weird jellyfish that live in our skull, and they
exactly right. They make no sense at all.
No, they're gross. You're just like, why is my vision fine, but I have like this thing creeping up.
It doesn't hurt. It's going to go away. It's harmless. It's just.
I'm sort of terrified of my eyes. Like I get the rest of everything, but I don't know how this does this. Where I see, I don't get it. It's
whenever you see close-ups of like how they focus and those like strands that make up the color of your eye, like that's freaky. That's like alien. Yeah. That's like an alien landscape in there going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. And it's weird because I feel like the brain's more complex, but like
sure.
eyes are super complex. I mean, I know it's sort of like this is the software and that's the hardware, and that's kind of what runs that. But at the same time, it's like cavemen had eyes. Like, that's weird. Like,
Yeah.
it's just weird to think about. Like, eyes are a thing that have been around forever, and they do the same thing. It's strange. Anyway, I swear I didn't take an edible. I don't know why I'm talking about going in this direction. I'm just tired. It's just the end of this. It's the end of the semester for a professor. So it's known as Christmas, and it's Christmas, and we also call it. You should have tried harder during the whole semester. That's the other title. For the
That's just on
Lessons
repeat. You have that
learned.
in a recording, right? Click. You should have done more for the click. You should have done more. Yeah.
You knew, you signed the contract. Anyway, no, most of my students were very good, so I appreciate that. And when I get those class evaluations back, then I'll start talking shit. But anyway, we're gonna start with some weird. We have a lot of Muppet news today. We're gonna start with a little, sort of a beware our guest slash. I couldn't figure out where to put it, but I also thought we probably should talk about it. The Muppet history kind of chaos. If anyone knows of the Muppet history social media account, if you don't know what's happened, it's sort of a public service announcement. Apparently, we'll just say the guy behind it seems a bit sketch, and has been sort of overtly flirting with other members of the Muppet community, and that was unwanted flirting. So he's been outed on that, and man, it's kind of gross, huh? Like it's something extra gross about it being a Muppet related thing.
Yeah. Ooh. It's not the first time you've had someone in a parasocial position of somewhat power. I don't want to use power, but
influence, maybe.
Influence is a good one. It's not the first time you've had some sort of fandom that had that, where that person sort of used that as an entry point to accelerate some sort of friendship into something else with other fans, and that's just not like. We'd be dumb to say that doesn't happen.
Right. It seemed to be other Muppet influencers. It
wasn't
I'm
just
not even
regular
sure.
fans.
I'm not sure if it was just regular. I mean, I think it's been broad enough. I'm not sure where it ends necessarily at this point. His wife was like, "It's cool, we're poly," and I'm like, "That's not how that works."
That's right. That doesn't help. Stop helping. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Right.
It always makes me think I am not poly, and I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, but when I think about poly, I'm just like, who's got the time for all this? Like, my life's busy. How do you one person I love is enough. Again, that's not necessary. I get it. People have bigger hearts and blah 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 blah. But I'm always just like, man, how are you not exhausted all the time? And not from the fun stuff. I'm just talking about remembering everyone's birthday. I know. It's just
yeah, my own husband doesn't remember my birthday. So, and we've been together almost 29 years now. So, I'm a handful. So there's no way I would put him through someone else as well. Having said that, Jason and I have had sort of an open relationship for a long time, which is very different than poly, sort of romantic. And this is not excusing what this guy did at all, but I've been on the other end of that online because I live such an open out life. I've had fans that sort of slide in my DMs a little,
Yeah.
Right. And look, we're all adults here, and you should address that at front of what are your expectations for this? What are my expectations for this? And if adults were to address it that way, things might be better. But you have people like this that that blurring between fandom of this thing you love and the internet is also a place where you can hook up. That's fine, but you have to understand consent. I mean, first of all, obviously. Yeah. And it just feels it feels slimy when it's like you are a well-known person in this fandom, and you're sort of using that to get in contact with people. That's just a little odd.
I mean, just you're not on an app for this stuff. You're no. It's you're in a different circle.
Right.
And I know he's got a medical situation, which means that he has the time, like to sort of foster this Muppet love. That's fine. But I also just don't get, like, I'm not sure I consider what I'm going to call them, like, cultural middlemen do. Like, how do you make money being a cultural middleman? Where, like, you didn't make the thing, but you just sort of show the thing, and the people are like, well, they're helping us. It's free, so sure. It's just a strange way to, like, spend your time. And I sort of feel bad only in the sense that, like, I don't know. I feel bad in the sense that, like, I think that if you don't know what you're doing and you decide you want to play with the bomb known as flirting publicly because you're doing it online, so it's all public. That might blow up in your face. Like, you're trying to read signals from other people and you got to make sure those signals are solid if you're going to like do that. And
especially if you're poly, like, especially like, you know, it would be one thing if he was sort of sneaking around his wife and this was cheating, but they've acknowledged that they're poly, which means that you need to establish those channels of communication way sooner and way clearer in every possible interaction that you think might possibly maybe. But, you know, this person responded to him and said, we did nothing for me that would suggest that this was okay. And, you know, and is that just,
and that comes with
a guy being a big dumb guy? I don't know. Like,
having no mojo. Yeah. I mean, like, that can be a part of it. But I hear that there has been some aggression, not in a sexual nature, but like he's shown himself to be a kind of a boisterous sort of throwing hands digitally kind of guy. So in that sense, you always sort of wonder, like, well, how far does it go and that sort of thing, which is a super shame because we need good, like, Muppet promoters and things like that. And it's so sticky to do this kind of stuff. And know what? Companies hire a person to actually do good social media and not corporate social media and just do this stuff. Like, just get a fan and hire him. And you should have had a guy like him, you know, who would never have done that. Yeah. Who would have done that on the official Muppet account and just lived his life separately. And, you know, but I don't know. It's just, it's a shame all around.
It's a shame all around, and from a business perspective, and I hate to put it that way because it's nice that somebody does this out of the goodness of their heart, and we want to encourage fans to promote and celebrate the things they love. Yeah. But, you know, he's now the Muppet people Disney can't be happy that this happened because they were getting a lot of eyeballs about their history. But to your point, they should take the ball up and go, hey, we're starting up. We've got a new person, not him, but like we've got a new person on the account who's going to do nothing but post about our history or something like that. Like, it's a shame. And if you're somebody who has this kind of has a poly relationship and has lots of parasocial relationships online, there's an etiquette now, and there doesn't have to be a hard line between your fandom life and your poly life. I'm not saying that has to be there. You have to acknowledge that there is a line for most people, and you just have to make sure that communication is a lot clearer and sooner, you know?
I just can't fathom in my entire life DMing anyone in a flirty way that I literally do not know. Like, it's like, it's
out of the blue.
It's such a strange, like, again, this is not this ain't my circus, but in the same way, it's like, you're not going to like meet somebody like in a nice sort of friendly way and find vibes and then go from there. Like, it's just so strange to it's exclusively digital, and you're just making a lot of guesses and and estimations and putting your reputation on the line. And it's just a dumb idea. It's just a bad call. And I think this is, you know, Some companies have used their archivists for the purposes of this kind of stuff. I think Disney doesn't do enough with their archivists, period. Or they're like, they only treat them in a very specific, like whatever is in storage you can show on your account, but you can't help us run the big Disney account or whatever,
Right.
So it's strange. We'll figure out better communication for this, because I think that it's always weird and awkward to put someone who has no relation to a company, no relation beyond being another fan with a fandom. And again, I'm saying this, and you are kind of too, as people who are literally on a podcast talking about theme park, we're social relations, like we get it,
Yeah.
And I fully recognize that what I'm doing is just trying to connect with people, and and the only difference is I know I'm saying things that I couldn't say if I was part of the Walt Disney Company, and he wasn't doing that anyway. So I know other people who have said things, who have gotten claims from the Henson Company, and they were like, "Hey, don't say that if you want to like hang out and do Muppet things." So they listen,
Right.
So I don't know. It's one of those things. It's a shame. I just want to let people know, because if you're following them now, and they went dark. But there's plenty of great. If you're on Blue Sky, Jay Brian.
Yeah, the guy who wrote the book.
Brian J. Jones.
Brian J. Jones.
It's on my
He's
shelf.
great.
I couldn't remember it. Yeah, he's great.
He's
and
great.
He
I love him.
He re-skeeted. We're not going to keep saying skeet. We eventually got to figure this out, Blue Sky. But he reposted a whole list of people who are big Muppet fans, and he's like, follow these people. So
he put together a little curated follow everybody. It's great.
Yeah, you can get your fix still, because you're going to need to get your fix, Dan, and we're going to talk about that next in the news. Oh, Dan. See, I'm hanging out too much with Dan Pecker now. My D's are all
I
mixed
just need
up.
to
Let's try
laugh
that
like
again.
Dan now.
Good luck. It's a big one.
It's a big one.
Speaking of people playing, and this is going to be all, I'm going to cut this, but speaking of people playing Santas, he is the producers of not Joel but the producers of the newer seasons of Mystery Science Theater do this like riff at a theater, and he's playing Santa for a riff, so he's riffing with them as Santa. So
that's genius. That's really
I'm
genius.
going. He's definitely talk about a guy who's going to make some money being a Santa when he gets a little grayer. He could do it now, and I'm hopefully going to go down and see him do it, because I was like, I'd kill to riff. Like, if someone can pay me to riff at all, like, I'd kill for it. So I want to meet. I want to network. So we'll see. Anyway, let's try this again. Oh, Dave, we are in for it. Someday they'll find us the Rainbow Connection, the lovers, dreamers, and me, but not today. Today is a rough one. As everyone knows at this point, the Muppet Vision 3D is going to be closing at Hollywood Studios to make way for. We'll talk more about what's going to be coming in, but a Monsters Incorporated land. We'll look at some concept art in a minute. And yeah, the Henson Company came out and they put a post, and there were kind of like, it was kind of a nice little post, and then it was like they're excited for Muppet Vision 3D's next act, and I don't know what next act means. We'll see, but let's get initial impressions from you, and then we'll kind of parse through this a little bit.
Yeah. It's a shame. It is one of the few media-based attractions that I would call evergreen.
Yeah.
Right? That is a Haunted Mansion Pirates level of evergreen from the 90s, late 80s of Disney that could run forever. It's not, there's nothing about it that's dated. The digital version looks great. They keep adding little things in the theater. It's a real shame. Part of this speaks to a much larger confusion, I think, in the Disney company of what to do with the Muppets. They've never really figured it out in the years that they've owned it. There's spits and spots that have been okay, but it's like always a little bit like, you're missing out. And part of me, the cynical part of me, is like, I know we all love it and we don't want to see it going. And then like I'm Gen X, like I was 7 when the first movie came out. Like I cannot tell you. I have a T-shirt that says I appreciate the Muppets on a much deeper level than you. Like that's the kind of fan I am. I own that shirt. So having said that, though, there's a cynical part of me that thinks maybe they've done the market research and that the Muppets are not sticky enough for a certain demographic and age group. And I don't believe the Muppets as characters have become for, 15 and under, the kind of evergreen characters that we in our heart think they are.
No, Yeah, I was given, I had the second swing, right? You had Movie and Caper and Manhattan, and I had Christmas and Treasure Island and space, I guess. If we want to count space. Space has its moments. People
has its moments, yeah.
If you like Close Encounters, you like space more. But 2 out of 3, 2 greats. One impeccably like a perfect Christmas movie. And I'm sure I'm missing some stuff. I mean, we had Fraggle Rock kind of come out a little bit before my time, but
the second coming of the show, the Muppets Tonight, which was
Muppets Tonight,
at the TV
I remember
station,
Muppets
which is
Tonight.
Great.
Here's a wild thing I remember about Muppets Tonight. They didn't show an episode. They took a week off because of. It might have been Oklahoma City bombing. I can't remember which bombing. And the episode was going to be about someone going to bomb the studio unless they got enough laughs or something. Yeah. And the episode never aired. And like, it was just because I was like sad. I remember my parents had friends over, and I don't remember what night it was, but it was like a weekend thing, I think. And they were like doing their own thing, playing cards or whatever. And I was like, I'm watching Muppets Tonight. Like I went and sat down and like, it's my time and I'm going to watch it. And, Muppet Babies was huge for my generation.
Yeah.
Like there was those connections. And if you think about it, let's put it in this context. They haven't made a Muppet feature film in 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Like, there are 10-year-olds that never saw the Muppets in theaters. They know them as like a streaming platform thing.
Yeah,
maybe,
and they tried to, they tried that Disney Plus show where it was like a streaming show, and it kind of didn't work. They've tried.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember that.
What was it called? I forget. It wasn't
like
great.
Muppets Now or something.
Muppets Now.
Yeah,
and they for a while there they were doing short form stuff really well, sort of before TikTok and Instagram Reels. Like they really were. They were sort of ahead of it, and I thought maybe that's the way to get this stuff to stick. I loved the last show, the one about the Electric Mayhem. I thought that show was like the first time Disney entirely got the Muppets kind of perfectly. But they canceled it. Evidently, it maybe it's from ratings. Who knows? That's a whole other discussion about.
That's what they always do, though. It's like, well, it's all streaming, but it's like,
that's what I mean.
Well, Muppets doesn't give us anything, and no one knows about it. And it's like, and every time you try something, you quit, and you don't just say like, we're going to do 5 seasons of this freaking show until you people like know who Dr. Teeth is. Like you will know. They're going to be on the store shelves. We are going to do a loss leader because this is an IP we need to like implant. They did the new Muppet Babies. That was an attempt. And it was fun. So I don't know, man.
I think stepping back from the cultural problems that Disney has not addressed with that brand, because they haven't. Let's just be very brutally honest. I liked the Muppets movie with Siegel. There were bits of it that I loved, but overall didn't love it. I thought it was moments that I liked.
It was
Muppets
reheated movie.
What?
It was reheated movie. It was reheated the first one in many ways.
Yeah, basically. And Muppets Most Wanted actually I thought had some really good funny jokes in it.
Yeah.
I think it's a stronger comedy than the first one.
It's good. It's good. But people don't give it enough credit. Ricky Gervais, it's a problem. I don't like it either.
He's a problem, sure. But it's way better than people remember. Go watch it again. I watched it recently, and I'm like, okay, it's another one where it felt like, okay, they get the Muppets. Let's do another one. Keep this going, But okay, stepping away from the cultural things, let's just talk about the park for a minute.
Yeah.
Operationally, I think it's a real mistake to lose that attraction because there's nothing at Disney MGM that serves that younger audience that way. It's a safe, comfortable grandma and me show. Do you know what I mean? It's not thrilling. It doesn't shake you around. It doesn't scare you like Bug's Life, and they're replacing it with something that is a notch up in terms of an audience. And so there is no small world at this park. That's what it needs to be. It needs to.
Let me go
this
ahead.
This is the small world of that park.
Yeah, let me go ahead and share the concept art for the Monsters Incorporated land, which is what's coming in place of this. Which I want to be very clear. I think looks great. I think this is a good call. I think it's something that I think a Monsters land would have. You could have. This is one of those weird properties that I could buy it as a Disney Magic Kingdom land. Like it's a literal, it's like a literary sort of construct, like Monsters, right? This is a thing. I could buy it almost anywhere except Animal Kingdom. Honestly, maybe even Epcot. I don't know. Maybe I'm already backing away from what I just said, but I do really love this. But I think something I want to point out. What you're saying is they're going to put something else in this theater. Like I think that Grandma show, Something Easy, is still going to be there. It's just going to be something else, but it's going to take.
Be Muppets.
No, and that's the problem too. Is and we'll talk about that in a second. What's your thoughts on this Monsters Incorporated concept art? As those who can't see, we got basically they've gutted and tore out the Muppet gift shop. Really, that's the only thing that we're. Right. I think that's what we're losing.
Had been smaller and smaller over the years anyway. Like, it
hadn't been open since COVID, basically.
No, so. and where the ride, the entrance for the Monsters Incorporated building is where like the old theater used to be, where they did the Hunchback show and a couple other big outdoor shows. It's kind of at the end of that walkway. Obviously, Pizza Rizzo is going to change, and Mama, what's its name's the
Mama
Italian
Melrose
place.
is going to be
Mama Melrose
Harryhausen's
change,
which is pretty rad. This is my thing. Is like. If this is something I mentioned on coming out, hopefully you're listening as well. Fun. We're talking with Dolan about all sorts of Haunted Mansion stuff, but also this kind of stuff. And something that got brought up there was like, if this has Kevin Rafferty level puns throughout the land, like it's perfect. Like it's going to be great. Like
right.
So
it looks great to me. I think. To your point, this is a brand that has been really underrepresented in the parks. The Laugh Floor it was an interesting experiment in technology, but is kind of lacking as a show. I think the dark ride in California has always been just a Band-Aid on what we used to be a
Tokyo has only
ride.
had is the only good.
Tokyo's ride
show.
Is great.
It's incredible.
Tokyo's great. There's that scene that in that ride where you ride through like the city streets, and I'm like, this looks like Men in Black. Like, it's, hey,
this looks familiar.
If they were, I choose to think that they were inspired by that. So awesome. But regardless, it's a great ride. The interactivity is fantastic. So I think as a land, and I think it fits really well for Hollywood Studios. I think overall, there's nothing wrong with what they're putting there. I do question why it couldn't go over where the launch bay is. Like it seems to me that there's enough space there, but we don't really know that.
For an attraction, yes. I'm not sure if you wanted. I mean, they're doing the full, what I'm calling the full Avatar, which is the new counter service, table service, snack cart, C ticket, E ticket, maybe B ticket. And that's you can do that here, which I don't think you could get all that in at Launch Bay.
That's true. That's true.
So because they don't want to lose any of it either. So
no, it's a shame. I'm so torn about it though, because what we're going to get is something really great. What intrigues me is about them talking about what Muppet Vision 3D's next act is, and I have my opinions about that. I have my solid opinions about that.
Okay. Opinion away.
First and foremost, they will port the entire show to Apple Vision Pro. Apple Vision Pro is a niche product. It's too expensive, yada, yada, yada. However, it is aggressively looking for content and looking for a reason for being. And so if all of a sudden because they're already showing Disney Plus movies on Apple Vision Pro in 3D, it would not take them a lot to film a static 180 camera or even 360 camera from a seated position in the theater, map the movie in 3D against the screen, and literally have all the effects in the theater happen, and remastered and archive the entire thing for that. And if Disney were to start archiving attractions in that format,
I'm buying one.
I would be all for it. And again, that's only a gateway product. If they do it for that, they can do it for the lower price Quest eventually. But we know that they've got a partnership with Apple, and they were part of the Vision Pro rollout. So to me, that's a natural. And then people will complain because it's a $3,500 thing, and that's not really an X stack for anybody but one percenters. But I get that. But it's I will bet money that that's happening. To me is the next.
That's good.
It's a way to show it.
Yeah, I think that. How do I put it? Some people said, "Well, we need to do a we'll." I mean, people already have recorded it in 360, and there's going to be even better versions before this thing closes. Like everyone, you know how fans are. Like we're all now on archivist mode. Like everyone is going to take every little bit of footage and stuff, and that's great. I'll take it. But I think you need a 3D variation like that. I think that works for me. I think what they also should do is just treat it like an actual short. And what I mean is, I don't mean here's the footage and people just kind of do this. What I mean is in 2D. What I mean is you film new material of Muppets entering a theater. And then when you have the vacuum Muppets sucking and stuff, you have Muppets clinging into chairs and flying, and like you just treat it like this is Muppets entering a theater for a demonstration, and you I'm even in belief like we don't want the animatronics in this. I don't want that difference. What I want is in LA. Redo the balconies, refilm all that, utilize, of course, the original, syncing. No new lines or any of that nonsense.
Yeah. Right.
But just treat it like a things go wild science experiment little Muppet short. And I think it's a way of servicing a 2D audience, but giving them the experience in a fashion. It costs money more than I don't know if it would cost more. It would cost more than probably the Apple for sure to create. But
I think that's a brilliant idea. I think, and the other way to do it, even if they don't do that, if they were to just put it on Disney Plus in 2D, and there's I would assume that the Disney Plus app for Quest is eventually going to be able to do 3D as well, because I already watch. I have a 3D TV. I'm one of the few people who bought a 3D TV. I have 3D Blu-rays. I have hundreds of them, and I've already found a way to watch all those on my Quest. Rip the file into a specific file, it'll play back on the Quest, so I can sit there and watch 3D movies at home. Which because I'm a giant nerd, but like they're gonna do that eventually. I think 3D TV died because, for a lot of reasons, the main reason is the first one out the gate was the electronic glasses, the shutters that go back and forth, and which weren't good, and they were very expensive. So by the time they got to the passive glasses, my TV uses the same glasses that you get in the theater, Real D.
Yeah.
So you can bring them home for free, and they're cheap. The damage had already been done, and so I think it was too soon for it to happen. But now that we're in the age of spatial computing, that kind of interface is going to be part of your life in the next 50 years, especially for a younger audience. You were going to have AR glasses that look like a pair of regular eyeglasses that can map stuff into the real world, including high-res 3D images. It's going to happen. That's where computing is headed. Having said that, They could also, for now, just archive it on Disney Plus, but also there's probably a ton of behind-the-scenes material and interviews with Jim about this show, and they could package it up into a nice little piece saying this was an important thing. This is an important thing in the history of the Muppets. Do current, like they do behind the attraction, right?
Yep.
Like do a special edition of it just for that.
Yeah.
And if you have a 3D TV or a Vision Pro or a Quest, congratulations, you get to see it in 3D too.
Right.
But even if not, we're going to celebrate this thing in this little package with interviews with all the current
have
Imagineers
Frank
that
do
worked
a
on it.
director's commentary because he was, I think he co-directed. I mean, he finished it when Henson died. So, and Dave is still around. There are people that can have conversations about this thing. What's interesting, people don't know, I think he was a writer and producer on 2.5 Men. Basically, he's like a cajillionaire now because of 2.5 Men. But the guy who helped create that show and was one of the lead producers wrote Muppet Vision and wrote several things for the Henson Company, like different VHS stuff and whatever. Like he had the tone down, he understood it. And you can bring that guy back too. Like bring them all back and have a little thing about it and talk about it. And I harp on WDWNT quite a bit as someone who used to work there. But they do their sort of MGM Studios retrospectives because that's Tom's favorite park, and they brought 4 or 5 people that worked on it from Imagineering. One of the guys had the actual 3D when the beginning of the movie when it comes out and Gonzo's holding it, he had that prop, and you're like,
rad.
Yeah, and so fans are trying to fill the void, but I think that you're right. This needs to be an official, like there needs to be a mea culpa about this from the Disney company.
Yes, and I think that they had that. What was that prop show they had on Disney Plus for a while, where the guy would go seek out props?
Prop culture.
Prop culture,
right?
Called? Yeah, and I think that there is a
that they cut off now. It's not on there anymore. For a tax write-off for whatever purpose?
I know. It's just there is a audience out there for behind-the-scenes stuff on movies and TV shows, and and it's low-hanging fruit for them to produce. They should do that with the theme park stuff too, and they kind of do behind the attraction, slowly but surely. But there's an opportunity for them to say goodbye to things in a way that that is a nice way to celebrate what these things were. The other option there is that its next act might be that they show alternating showtimes of just the movie without the in-theater effects at like the California Adventure Filler Magic. What I mean? or when the Villains show, which I can't even remember the dumb name they gave it, but the Villains show is over at Hollywood Studios. That's going to be right next to our new Muppet ride. He's blowing up, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry,
he's famous. No, you're fine.
Thought I muted everything.
They will have that theater, which is what's got Racing Academy right now after Villains, and if they want to show it there, they can. My big hope, and this is not going to happen. It's just not. But my big hope would be, just give it to the Center of Puppeteering, the Museum of Puppeteering in Atlanta. Just give it to them. Just Disney pay for it to go there.
Yeah,
that
actually would be beautiful.
Yeah,
I worked on the World Puppetry exhibit there with Thinkwell, and if people have not seen that exhibit, if you are a Muppet fan, get yourself to Atlanta because there's a Henson exhibit of his history and then his collection of World Puppetry artifacts, and it's beautifully done. They did it well there. It's really worth seeing.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a lot of space to do something like that. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm also like, don't close Country Bears, give it to a ski lodge. Whatever it takes, just to give it to whatever. How is this connected with other things? There is no Mineral King, but let's just okay. Let's talk for a second though about what we are getting from the Muppets, which I went, yay! And then I thought about it for 5 minutes. I was like, I don't know. But I will be very excited to write it, which is the fact that Rock and Roller Coaster is now going to be Muppets themed. Primarily Electric Mayhem themed, as we see in this picture. Thoughts?
Is that
thoughts
fan art or is that actual?
No, this is the actual poster.
Okay.
This is the concept art from Disney. And it mimics the one with Aerosmith. So
yeah,
we're retiring Aerosmith. They're all going back to They're all playing new roles on The Mummy, Universal. It's my old joke. I keep using that joke, but it's good.
Which Muppet is going to give us the stink finger on their forehead?
Someone better, man. It's important to me.
They gotta.
I think it's important to bring back. We were talking about this on Fun.
Oh, what's her name? Yeah, she plays the manager. Why am I blanking on this?
Yeah, I am too. And I can't look it up fast enough, I don't think. But, Ken Marino, of course, is the engineer.
Ileana Douglas.
Ileana Douglas. Dan's idea on Fun, go listen to that, of course, but was pretty great, which is have them switch parts. So Ken plays the Muppets manager, and Ileana plays the engineer in the booth. So you bring them back, and they do the separate.
That's funny.
The other thing, which I think would be really cool.
That's funny. That is funny.
I mean, what do we think? It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird.
It's kind of weird. It's a.
Dan, I shouldn't come up with these ideas 5 years before they do. That's.
I know we kind of did, didn't we? And I think a lot of people sort of pitched this idea. I think it's a kind of an aggressive ride for that brand. A little bit. One of the things I'm hoping is in the last, since that ride was originally made, the safety requirements for looping coasters do not necessarily mean over-the-shoulder horse collars. You look at the Velocicoaster. You can do they can change the seats so that it's a thigh restraint to keep you in, which would make it more comfortable and probably make it. The problem is the height requirement for that would probably go up if they did that. So I'm torn about that. I think it would be good to modernize that coaster in terms of the restraint, but it might also make the actual demographic smaller because you have to be taller. But
you
it's
certainly know more about. Well, I was going to say you know more about coasters than me. All I do is play Planet Coaster. Can you turn down the launch with of course, still making the loop at all?
Yeah, no, it would have to be. That's calculated.
It's all physics. I know. Yeah. I figured it was as whatever the bare minimum is already, probably.
Yeah. I mean, it's showing its age. It's pretty rough.
Sure.
It's kind of a headbanger. Era of Vekoma looping coasters, just
I don't leave it feeling good. I don't go on it very often.
No, nor do I.
mean, same with Tower. To be honest, that whole side of the park, I loved. Nathan goes off on Tokyo, but I loved their Tokyo Tower because it was more mild and I could ride it a couple times and not feel sick.
To me, it's like I don't foresee them spending a lot of money retracking this, even the same track to be smoother or a slightly different track that takes out some inversions or something. I just don't see that happening in that space because they're tied to a building and how big that is. So it's
Kermit's thanking Christ that they can't bring Marvel because they already know that layout. They could have just brought in that weird Captain Marvel Iron Man ride and done it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a weird one to me. I will go see it because we know the pre-show will be funny. And having the Muppets in the world of a music studio is fun. We saw that in the show with the Electric Mayhem. So, okay. I'm more like, all right, at least we get this, I guess.
It's something.
I can't see the ride being much better than it is now, though.
Bring me lots more light. Don't act like it doesn't need to feel like it's all black light and in the dark.
No, I agree with that.
We know we know what we're in. Like, just go ahead. I need one big. I need the O in Hollywood to actually just be a big Dr. Teeth mouth. Like, I just need I need that kind of stuff. Like, if you want to, let's just kind of go with the '60s vibe, man, and let's lean in on the trippiness of it.
Because the Rock and Roller Coaster in Paris did that. It did not try to be a black box. It was rock and roll lighting as you went through, which was fine. I actually preferred it. I thought it was actually a better experience for that.
You could see what you were doing.
Yeah.
It's. I think that
What song do you think they'll do? Or I think it'll be multiple songs.
I think it's going to be multiple songs. I think there's no reason to change that. They already have. It's literally. My guess is you change the audio track. They have the randomizer, like it's already there. Yeah. So I think that there's enough already canned Electric Mayhem music that they're not going to record anything new.
Oh, I disagree. I think they'll actually do something.
I mean, I'd love it. I wouldn't hate it. And again, I don't actually say that.
Are they going to go back to Can You Picture That? You know, like, are they going to go back that far?
They have to. It's like the anthem. It has to be Can You Picture That? They did a live version of two things. When you remember, I created a version of this with it was the Bonnaroo, I think, Mayhem recording. So they did it live at Bonnaroo, which of course wasn't live, but blah, 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 blah. And, but you had all that kind of like screaming and excited noise as you do in Rock and Roller Coaster with Aerosmith. And it does work to have that sort of like, hey man, like we're doing it like it's a show, and it's that kind of vibe. But I hope that they do it. I want Run Run Rudolph, since you're not going to do it at Galaxy's Edge not Galaxy's Edge, Guardians anymore.
Right.
They already recorded it. It's really easy. If I can, the second thing I want to say though about this idea, and this is something that I think maybe I'm mean to myself, but if I can come up with this idea in about 10 minutes, I don't know. I don't think it's the best that Disney can do. It might be the best Disney will pay for, but I don't know. Not trying to crap on my creativity, but I think it's so obvious. It does I feel like they went for something that is super obvious opposed to doing something really unique and fun. They went, well, this ride, we have sex pests on this ride now, so we got to do something with them. What do we do? And my response to that is, you didn't think Aerosmith were a bunch of sex pests? Okay.
Yeah, that's on you.
In some weird, interesting news over at Animal Kingdom, we've barely. I cut so much out of this because I was like, we're going to talk about Muppets for a long time. In weird news, Dr. Seeker over at Dino Institute, he went back in time, Marty McFly style, and somehow gave us an extra year of dinosaur. So dinosaur is now living on until 2026, which was completely unexpected. I mean, kind of unexpected. I honestly kind of thought they were going to keep that ride open as long as they could until they could get the other side interesting, so people go over there. I don't think the Encanto ride isn't going to be done, and then they're going to work on this. But I think that they're trying really hard to say like, oh yeah, we've got like 2 rides at Animal Kingdom. We probably shouldn't close one of them. I'm being facetious, but I don't know. I mean, you hate this ride. I mean, you don't hate it, but you know it's bad.
I'm gonna. This is my Flynn Rider with knives at his throat opinion.
No, I agree with you.
Everyone's gonna hate me for this. I'm not gonna mourn seeing it go, but good for people who love it that it's gonna be around for a while.
It's a bad ride. It's just no way around it. Like I love it. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. It's one of the few like ride listen throughs I'll do. It's because it's fun, and my wife and I just like, it was our jam. Like we knew every move. Like our bodies could just kind of flow with the ride, And we did. For a while, I was doing. I was experimenting with putting in headphones and creating timed tracks, music tracks to different rides. And I did a whole Welcome to the Jungle with that, and it was great. It was amazing. And I have a blast with that ride. It's still not a good ride because the first time you ride it, you're like, what the hell happened? What?
Yeah, it's just a lot of shaking and a lot of noise. And
oh, you turn those lights on and you're like, oh, there's a lot of black paint invested in this spot. So, I'm all for.
It was a ride. It was a ride made by. We have this ride system and its layout. It's the same layout. It's like we have this already, and we need this open by a certain date. make it happen. It was not created to be dinosaur.
No.
It was adapted on top of an existing layout. And it's
I honestly think that Dinosaur might be the most universal of all of Disney's rides. It is aggressive and scary in a way that I don't think really matches any other portion of any of the other parks. I mean, it's legitimately very, like, it shakes you up whether you're scared of the big robots or not. Like, it's just like, well, it really does shake you up until you get very used to it. And even then, you know, it's the only ride that if one of those Carnotauruses aren't working, I'm like, I don't like that. I can't. No. Like it's
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. They're too big to be that still. So
mechanophobia.
only for that.
Yeah.
And one time it was running normally, and I decided to look to my left at that third Carno, and I saw the static head of the Carno that they rarely but sometimes use when the big Carno's not working. And all of a sudden there was another Carno, and my body was like, flight! Like, no fight. He was like,
Run!
Nope!
Run!
Nope!
Run!
No. And luckily Dr. Seeker got me out of there. But yeah, I don't know.
I love that you made other soundtracks for it. I used to do that too. I used to, like, back in the Walkman era in the 80s, I would make I would record stuff for I would go to Six Flags and I would ride with music and sneak it on and listen to headphones. So I was doing that in the early 80s before they put it on Space Mountain, y'all. I was doing that a long time ago. And Tom Morris talks about that too. He said he used to do it as well. And that's what got them to start thinking about it to put in the park. But so it's funny. A friend of mine used to run a little nerd club here in LA, and it was all designers mostly. And he would have us do sort of creative prompts, and we get together over lunch, and it was fun. It was like a Algonquin roundtable for theme park nerds. And look it up, kids. And he one of them was make a alternate soundtrack for a ride at Disneyland. I'll post all the tracks so people can download it to their iPod at the time. And we'll all go to the park and meet up and listen to each other's tracks. And it was really funny. There were some very, very weird, and like one political take was a friend of mine did a soundtrack for Pirates of the Caribbean that was all news reports about Somali pirates. Okay, sure. The one that was the weirdest and the saddest and the most bleak and kind of like not appropriate but kind of amazing was for Casey's Junior Circus Train, and it was the soundtrack to Schindler's List.
Oh boy.
So you were on a train behind bars looking at little European villages.
Rough.
It was so wrong.
Am I listening to Isak Perlman while I'm on this ride?
Yeah, it was just like, and we didn't get it at first. I'm like, what is this? Oh God. Oh no. Because there was no preparation for it. They were like, track 2, we're doing this ride. Let's see what it is.
That's really fun.
And and then we all went for drinks afterwards and talked about it. And that one was the one everybody's like, I don't know if I absolutely adore it or hate it. Like it's oof. The best one was a friend who did a new soundtrack for Peter Pan, and what he did was actually a commentary track about it. He's that's so the ride system you're on was derived from meatpacking plants in the 1950s, right? If you look down and see in London, it looks like traffic running back and forth. Those are rubber bands with dots of black light on them, and it's incongruous with the story, which takes place in a time before cars. Like, he did this whole sort of deep dive on the ride, but as a commentary track, and I'm like, that's genius. I would actually want that.
Yeah, I just want it
in the park.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I did a couple. I liked doing them digitally because you could share them with people, and I did a couple for Cosmic Rewind when it came out. Just other songs that I was like, I want to hear this song. I don't even remember which ones I did. If it comes back to me, I'll remember. But it was just fun, because it's made for that. That's the whole point of the ride. So
yeah.
That
makes me want to go. I just recently unearthed the CD that was the scratch track for Men in Black. So it was with the music pulled from other sources and temp VO set to the timing of the ride to storyboards.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
And like one of the main tracks was the the propeller heads, the one that's used in the Matrix during the gun scene.
Yeah.
We used part of the score from Speed was in there. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to watch my YouTube, folks. I'm going to put that up because I think that would be fun to slap on your phone and your AirPods and go ride the ride and see what it sounds like. See what our intent was.
Absolutely. I really wish I could find what I did. I know I didn't get rid of him. Maybe I did. Who knows? Anyway, moving right along, let's go to Disneyland. You got some 70th anniversary news for us.
I do. So the 70th anniversary decor is going up for Sleeping Beauty Castle. They put up the concept art, which is
some bisexual energy.
It's very bisexual energy, extreme bisexual energy. Yeah, we got some deep pinks and blues and gold. So yeah, I didn't think of that till you said that, but you're totally right. And it looks like lampposts leading up to the entrance and sort of an ornate symbol on the castle itself. Doesn't look like they're doing much to the actual tops of the turrets or anything other than maybe some of the flag colors. Good. Yeah.
As a guy who was at the 50th for Walt Disney World, good. Don't touch your castle. It's a bad call. Always.
The birthday cake castle, that one?
Oh no. I'll take that. That's so crazy and so like you really went balls to the wall that I'm for it. But when you're just like, we're gonna paint it differently, it's like 50th, no, 25th. Love it. So
all of this kicks off in May of 2025 for the 70th anniversary and set to run through the following summer in 26. The theme is Celebrate Happy. Okay, sure.
Okay.
A new theme
that
song.
One dwarf is really happy. The one dwarf is very excited.
I hope. If this were in Japan, that's what it would be. Happy would be like the main character.
Yeah, he would
make happy merchandise. And, special merch, new theme song. The Paint the Night parade will return. The Main Street Opera House Theater is getting Walt Disney A Magical Life, which is where we get the animatronic Walt, which I'm really, really concerned about. I don't think it's a good call to do this.
Give me the skis.
I think it lionizes him in a way that is just a little creepy.
Yeah. This is, by the way, we generally do this on a Thursday. You hear it on a Monday, and it is Walt's birthday today. So happy birthday, you complex
happy
weird
birthday,
guy. But as I sort of said on Blue Sky, like, may we not forget his humanity as the company continually tries to make him a mascot. And this is one of those, it's a weird sort of, I mean, I don't know. It's always a little strange. I don't have as much issue with American Adventure because it's sort of, it's a troupe, like it's a bunch of different people and they're all representing different things. But when you're like, here's a spotlight and it's going to be on one person, even the Abe Lincoln one. Now, I don't have any issue with the Abe Lincoln one necessarily because it's so far back, but it is like, all right, this is like a whole thing for this one dude, huh? Like it's a thing. So
yeah, you're going to get some audience members who go to it every visit and cry, and good for them. But I think it just celebrates him in a weird way. I don't know. I'm not. Maybe I'll be surprised by it, but I don't know.
I don't think so.
But they're doing a new cavalcade parade, a tiny parade called Mickey and Friends Celebrate Happy. Wondrous Journeys returns, which is spectacular. It's one of my favorite fireworks shows of the last 2 decades in that park. I think it's the best one since the 50th. It's so good. It's so good. And the music, the dramaturgy in the music and the arrangements are just, if you haven't seen Wondrous Journeys, it's literally worth a visit to Disneyland. I cannot endorse it enough. I love it, love it, love it. And then next door at DCA, the World of Color Happiness will debut, which I think has a bunch of more Pixar characters in it, if I'm not mistaken.
It certainly looks like it. We've got like some Turning Red, and we've got some. Turning Red. We got a lot. Of
they've got Four Town singing. That makes me happy. Oh my God, Powerline is in there.
Yeah. They fully have recognized how important Powerline is to Black culture. Like and they're right. And they're right. And It's good. I just wish there's more. Like, do more. Like, make another movie. I don't know. Do it.
Yeah, they should.
Bill Farmer's like,
they should do. Oh, they should do a behind the music featuring Power.
Oh,
wouldn't that be great?
it's so good. That's so. Do you know how like if they just released like we're doing a behind the music on Disney Plus of Powerline, people would just like.
Yeah,
like
yeah, it would be because it lets you be that goofy brand of humor and riff on the band's development and at the height of their popularity, which was during the movie and what's happened since then. Oh, come on, and then a reunion concert. Come on,
is there enough?
Yeah,
right. Where they're like, oh, this was like his most famous concert, and then they bring Max and Goofy back for the. Oh yeah. This is very good.
That is a license to print money. That is
you can pay us very little, and you can have that idea.
You're welcome. You're welcome, guys. Take that one. Your millennial audience will eat that up.
Yeah, I do like they're like we've got Turning Red, we've got Inside Out. We're gonna the star from Wish is gonna be in it too, and Scar. Don't forget about Scar. I mean, if anything I liked out of Wish, it was the star, so that's perfectly all right. But right. My guess is the star might act as a transitionary figure in this, is what my guess is. But now I'm thinking about behind the music. What other behind the musics could they do? They could do a whole series. You could do Country Bear, technically. It'd be hard, but you could do it. You could do Powerline. Are there any other bands?
Four Town.
See? Four Town, absolutely.
Country Bears, yes.
That's 3. We need at least 5 for a series. We've got our pop, our R&B, and our country. The guy from Soul. I mean, he did.
Oh,
he was famous technically.
But sure, but you could do that. Sure. God, what else?
Is there a rock band? I mean, Dr. T, you could do. I mean, they kind of did. Oh, Halix.
They kind of did. They already did a documentary about Halix. If you haven't seen that, by the way, folks, do not miss.
Yeah.
HALYX. It was don't sue us. We're not Star Wars inspired rock band that played Tomorrowland Terrace at the height of Star Wars popularity, way before Disney ever owned them. I was in the park when that ran, but I never saw the show, but I do remember the posters and things. So I love that documentary. It's so good. That's the Yesterland guys did that, right? Yes.
No, it's
no. Sorry. No, it's the other folks. It's
Defunctland presented it.
Defunctland presented
done by a gentleman that we follow each other online. I'm trying to remember. Oh my goodness, I'm just absolutely blanking. It's been a long day. Matthew Serrano.
Right. It's great, folks. If you haven't seen it, it's a weird slice of very specific Disneyland history at a very specific part of the Disney company history in the 70s.
A not great time.
And and it's great. It's a really, really good documentary. It's very entertaining. Do not miss it.
Really
it's
cool.
very, very good.
I was always.
So what else we got?
I was always. Who else? We need a rock one. I mean, Dr. Teeth and Luxury Mayhem kind of already did one technically.
Freaky Friday.
Who's gonna be? Oh, I guess that's true.
She's a band in that, and they're gonna do that. They're gonna reprise that somehow for the sequel. They have to.
Yeah.
Listeners, if we're missing a Disney fake rock band, let us know because I can't. Any fake band that's in a Disney movie.
They do so much that's like fantasy and stuff that you're like, oh, you know what it is? It's the Cantina Band. That's what it is.
Cantina.
The
Cantina Band is one. The Pearl Band from Mary Poppins.
Okay. Yes.
I mean that's a deep cut, but
if we're gonna go wild, you could do Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid, Jungle Book. Right, you could do that.
There's options. Call us Disney.
Aristocats.
There's in the middle of the documentary they're going to be like and a very controversial piano player in Aristocats. Can't show you any footage of him.
Right, yeah.
Literally playing chopsticks with chopsticks. Well, boy, what a time, Disney. What a time. The 70th merch is pretty fun. I mean, we only have like a glance at it right now, but
there's a cute little conductor hat with there it is.
Is it like a marching band hat? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I guess it's a You're right. Sort of like more of a marching band hat.
Who's the leader of them all? It's made for you and me.
There's a glittery sweatshirt with very, very sort of. I love the colors. They're very sort of 90s colors. And again, bisexual Minnie.
The meet and greet characters are full on.
Yeah, the meet and greet characters are definite bisexual energy for sure.
This photo also gives me. We saw you across the counter service, and we dig your vibe.
We saw you across the hub, and we really dug your vibe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Be like this poly couple, and not like the other one. Oh boy. You know
joke,
Jay-Z's in on
but
it.
there's
Jay-Z's in on it.
And with Rule 42, someone's done it. So let's not Google search that.
Don't do it.
But that's all they've shown for now are those two things, the 70th logo. It's a 70's a big one. 75 is probably going to be bigger, I believe.
Oh, sure. I find this outfit fine. I find that American costumes for Mickey and Minnie tend to be very casual, whereas Tokyo tends to go grand.
Right.
And I feel like, I don't know, it's starting to feel like there was a time where it was like Mickey Mouse, he has opened his kingdom for you. And now it sort of feels like Mickey Mouse, if you want to come and I'm just on the couch.
This reminds me of there's some 80s illustrations of Mickey, and you can see it in the queue for Runaway Railway in the 80s segment. And it's like he's slouchy, and he's got the Miami Vice jacket with the sleeves pushed up, and he's got like a Rolex watch, right? And he's got like espadrilles on, and it's very sort of slouchy 80s, like looking over his shoulder. Yeah. That's what this reminds me of, like 100%.
That sort of,
This is Videopolis. This is Videopolis Mickey.
They're missing a beat not to just fully lean in on 80s Videopolis.
They need to bring Videopolis back. If you don't know what Videopolis is, go to my YouTube and search for it, because I have the theme song there with like photos from it. And that was a teen dance club in what is now the Fantasyland Theater back near Small World. And that they had a after 4 p.m. or after 5 p.m. reduced admission for teens to come and dance to 80s music. And yours truly was there when I was, 16? Yeah. Got kicked out for Dancing with Boys. So but that's exactly what this is. If you look at the styles of that's what this is. It's very 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. Let's move on to Haunted Mansion. The new queue is opened.
Yes.
What you think? I think it's pretty grand.
The queue's great. I think the layout of the queue is banging, because it's very twisty-turny. There's a lot of really great reveals. There's some sort of pass-through peekaboo views. It feels very dense. It feels like Discovery. There's a couple of things that I think are... There's one thing that is not quite there yet, and will get there, and one thing that I think is a miss. The thing that's not quite there yet is the greenery. This is hopefully going to overgrow and get more grown.
Viney and fun.
And I hope as part of that, it gets more patina, because like the tan areas of the walls, it just looks a little too new. And I know, the idea is we keep up the outside and the ghosts keep up the inside. That's the whole thing. It's not supposed to look run down. I get that. But there's a middle ground, and I don't think this is there in terms of patina. It looks a little too new. I would do personally, if I were the art director, I would have done a little bit of wash on some of this. And maybe they're going to do that later. The part that I think is a miss is the individual props, like the green man that you've seen there, and all the little teeny garden pieces that are sort of that patina green. They all look really off the shelf to me. And maybe I'm wrong. If my friends at Disney want to correct me and say these are all... They look like they were bought from Home Depot, And in particular, the ones that stuck out to me the most were the gazing balls, the garden balls. Now, I don't know if people know what those were.
That was the one people found. Yeah. Yeah. The people found
So
the gazing balls on the thing. Yeah.
And the gazing balls that they picked are sort of this red color. They're very jewel tone, which is very 90s, right? It's a gazing ball in a garden of this era would have been mercury glass, and it would have been just mirrored, and it would have been sort of cracked, aged mercury glass. And so what they were for was you put them in your garden and they would scare away witches, right? Because they'd see their own reflection.
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean, I think this is a nice little dissonance here, right? Which is the color scheme says, Madame Leota, like that's where what they're doing here. I think a little bit like it's that sort of washy, sort of smoky, like orb, at least for one of them. But you're right. That's not the thing, right? Like it's getting a little too Easter eggy and not enough, I don't know, aesthetically correct. I suppose. Yeah, I do like. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the layout's great. The actual architecture of it's great. The glass canopy of the sort of greenhouse canopy is really nice. It needs to be overgrown. All those hanging plants are really small. But I hope, and I'm hoping that it will get there, and that's the goal for those. And they're not going to trim everything back terribly.
I do love how they hid stuff. I do love how they hid the elevator. I think this is
the elevator's great. Yeah,
this looks super good. I like the hallway. I like that they added the bells, which I guess we also have in Magic Kingdom for the accessibility.
And I love
hallway.
that this is like new construction. Like this is underneath what used to be the old queue. Like that's
it's wild.
This is serious. They did a bang up job. I love that the elevator is the tomb or the what do you call that? The not mortuary,
mausoleum,
whatever the mausoleum. Thank you. I think that's great. All that is really good. But look at the patina on. Do you have a picture of the mausoleum? Because the patina on that is what I want in all the other walls of the queue.
Yeah,
and to be honest, maybe that's coming. Maybe this is the kind of thing that they could do after hours. Maybe there's more coming. Maybe they want to get some wear and tear into it first and see what breaks and what
where are people going to put their hands? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But like the gazing ball is a big mistake to me. Like that's just not period accurate in terms of colors, but that's minor. That's all stuff that can be fixed. Overall, I think the queue is a plus and adds to the ride in a really fun way. I like it a lot.
Do you, of course, here's our concept art of the new Madame Leota shop. They have released at this point, I saw today, this is an older image from WWNT pre-signage, but the signage is up for this now as well. That size says a lot, Dave. Where are we at with this gift shop? Are we back on our patina needs?
Well, first of all, yes. Like this looks like it could have been bought off the shelf at Home Depot.
I can hear the Home Depot theme. Like it's resonating like Jumanji. It's like resonating from this building.
If people want to know what my opinion of it is, go watch on YouTube. There's a guy that goes by Hey Bricky, and he is a designer of his own and a very talented one. And so his commentary on the parks, I find refreshing because it's a fan commentary, but it's actually very specific to his beliefs as a designer. And I 100% align with his opinion on this, which is, and this picture doesn't show it, scale-wise, this thing's a disaster. It is way too big. And when you're standing by, say, the what's the little food place across the street from this that has the chocolate cookies and the galley, something galley.
Yeah,
I forget the name of it.
Anyway, I'll look it up. You figure that out.
If you stand there and look at it, it dwarfs the mansion. Harbor Galley, thank you. It dwarfs the mansion. It dwarfs the top of Tiana's Hill now, and it just screws with the forced perspective and very carefully planned scale of the two things next to it, and it just kills it.
So, it does look like a rich asshole's garage retirement.
Well,
place.
And then I have problems with that too. Like why is it a carriage house on the other side of the fence where the carriage is parked? Like it doesn't make sense in this story. That's something Hey Bricky brings up, is that it could have been like, what if it were servants' quarters, which would have been period appropriate, and not like slaves, but like, you know, the butler and the groundskeeper.
I mean, but also that would have been period accurate.
Yeah, right.
There's trouble. It's hard to get around that one day. I know Tiana's is right next door, and we're trying our best.
It is kind of hard. You're right. It's hard to get around it. But he showed some examples of like small little houses that would be where like the groundskeeper lived, you know, and I think that may have been more appropriate. But the bigger issue here is not what the theme of it is. Like, I could have even given that a pass, given the current carriage house a pass, if the scale had been correct. But the scale here is very clearly that the merchandise people won. Right? Yeah. The merch people won every argument in this. Even the flow is wrong. Like, the exit of the store is right out into the pathway. They've created another pinch point. This thing is so big. Like, I feel for my friends who work at the resort who probably touched this, because it just smells of something where the ops people and the merchandise people won every argument.
I do.
Even down to, look at the base. Look at the base down near the bottom.
That's rough. That's rough work, man.
And I know why that's there. It's metal. It's stainless steel. It's because this place gets hosed down all the time. But, you know, that could have been a rock detail. Right. Oh, I know, yeah. But that it's just disappointing. It's so big and stale. And like, even like the scale of the lanterns they have hanging there are off the shelf. They should have been, those lanterns should be at least double that size. The little hanging thing above the door that is some sort of sign is way.
Let's go back to the
scale.
concept art and see what we're trying to do here. There's no lighting fixtures that are hanging the same way there.
Right, but the doors look like better scale here.
Is there two doors or one? Did they go just down to one door?
They went down to one.
A bright idea.
And again, this scale of this artwork
much better
looks fine. But I'm telling you, go watch that video clip because he has a shot back from Harbor Galley, and it literally made me gasp. I was like, and that's in 2D, in flat, looking at it in video, which will prove exactly what works and what doesn't work in forced perspective. I gasped at how bad it was in scale.
Yeah. What do you think of the I love this concept art for the interior, as if any of this is going to make it that is in reach of people. The lights, yes.
Yes.
I don't buy any of this. Like, I guess the story is this was Madame Leota's like hangout before she disappeared.
House?
I don't. It's named after Madame Leota. It's called what? Somewhere Beyond or something like that.
Regions Beyond, maybe.
Regions Beyond, I think. Maybe, I can't remember what it's named. Sorry, everybody. But it's all Madame Leota themed, but it's a carriage house, and it's like
Madame Leota's Somewhere Beyond.
Okay, yeah, but why is Madame Leota living in a carriage house? Like, I don't.
It has a boudoir on the mezzanine level. At one point, it was home to the mansion's head caretaker, but Madame Leota later took up residence. It makes zero sense.
Zero sense. And what head?
Tell one story. Tell one story. Tell one story.
What caretaker? First of all, the head caretaker is still there because
it should have been his place, and there should have been a little dog bed for his dog.
Yes,
and
and half the size.
Right.
Yeah.
But the retail people wanted more space to sell shit, and they won every argument here. I guarantee it. I guarantee that's how this happened.
The caretaker brings back all of this stuff that is that he resells, that he just finds in the mansion, and it's the merch.
Right.
But like, and he makes an extra dollar from taking stuff out of this place, and oddly, every time he goes, there's new stuff. He doesn't know where it comes from. And you can play around with it. This you can't play around with. This is like, no one is going to put a glass ball in the middle of there's no way any of this is happening. I get sort of, have you been to the Beauty and the Beast shop in Magic Kingdom? I get a little bit of that, like from the concepts here, but it's much smaller.
Scale would have been right. That scale would have been way more appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah. Just that sort of homey, villagey. I get what they're attempting. Yeah, it's going to be rough. I think the inside's going to be rough. I think it's going to be a hard one. But we'll find out. We don't have a ton more to talk about, but we do have a little bit of company news. We are running a little long, but I also want to talk about a couple film stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit about the settlement for the gender pay gap lawsuit?
Yeah, this is an interesting one.
If you want to know why Disney Plus is raising prices, here's one of the reasons, probably.
Here's why. Disney has agreed to pay $43 million to settle a gender discrimination lawsuit, which alleges that the company paid its female employees less than their male counterparts. So it's up to 14,000 eligible class action lawsuit members of female employees from 2015 until now, with a total of about $43.25 million. It comes in far less than the original estimate, which was $300 million. And a settlement was quietly reached in October between Disney and the Andrus Anderson LLP represented plaintiffs, per Deadline reported on this. The case was set to go to trial in May of next year, but they have now settled. It does not include women who are employed at Hulu, ESPN, Pixar, and previous Fox assets like National Geographic and FX. Disney's statement to Deadline upon reporting this was, "We have always been committed to paying our employees fairly and have demonstrated that commitment throughout this case, and we are pleased to have resolved this matter."
What was happening, like, I don't know, 1940s?
Yeah. Sure.
What picket lines were forming and what was saying words under his breath? Like,
yeah, come on.
Yeah.
In addition to the monetary settlement, the company will also have to hire a labor economist to analyze pay equity amongst its full-time non-union California employees below the vice president level for 3 years, as well as fix the differences. A case was originally filed in 2019 by a woman who alleged that Disney knowingly violated the Fair Employment and Housing Act and California's Equal Pay Act by paying female employees less than male employees. The plaintiffs in the case earlier this summer accused the company of withholding documents, which led to it being class action. So, yeah.
Everyone get excited for Disneyland Houston, where there are no rules.
Yeah, move the whole park to Texas.
Pull a Tesla. No, good for them. Good for those who are getting paid. Get paid. Get
that cash.
There's a movie coming out. I'm so sorry that I don't remember the name of it, about a female African-American boxer. It's coming out in the 25th. But anyway, in the trailer, they ask about pay, and she says something like, compensation is, like, respect. And I'm like, yeah. Yep. Say that more. Let's keep that in people's minds. So good for them. I'm going to talk a little bit about Wicked. I saw Wicked. You're a homosexual, so you saw Wicked.
I had to. It was the law.
I saw law. I don't. I mean, I know you guys have strict code. Thoughts on Wicked, and then I want to talk a little bit about what Universal might do, because I think before we've had conversations, and there's a lot of merch. Like, is this gonna, like, woof? This could be big, or it could be like a big old, like, dud, and then they're going to be like, well, we never did any of that, and forget about it. Not the case.
Well,
not the case.
No, it's not the case. It's doing very well. I really enjoyed it. I am a fan of the original musical to a point. I acknowledge the cultural juggernaut that it was, and the massive amount of money it made, and the audience it served, in particular, like, teenage girls. Like, it's a brilliant piece of theater that I have quibbles with. Like, I have always liked the songs. I think structurally it's kind of weird. It's always been a really strong first act, and then it always fell apart in the second act.
It would be weird to see what happens. I'm excited because it's not going to be an hour, so I don't know what they're going to do.
Because if people haven't seen the musical, the second act is just odd, and it doesn't quite live up to to ending on Defying Gravity. Like, it's such a brilliant ending of a first act that it could never get past that again, and it never has. But people sort of forgive it because of the overall themes of it, which are, this friendship between the women. Like, all that's really great.
It gets murky because it starts trying to integrate Dorothy Wizard of Oz lore, and the moment it starts doing that, it gets really rough.
Right. And you know, if you haven't read the books are really different, and the books are not darker. The musical. They're much darker. There's, you know, human on animal orgies. Like, it's nuts.
The rules.
So having said that, like when they announced that it was going to be split into 2 movies, I went, oof, that second movie though, right? Was my first reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
Having seen it now, and I'm going to see it again this weekend, I absolutely adored it. I think it is an absolute revelation in a lot of ways. It expands on the character development of the musical. It expands upon the world building of the musical. It does things because it's a movie and can tell story in close up that is just you can't do on stage. A single look from Cynthia Erivo during The Wizard and I had me instantly bawling. Because you know where this is going, you know, and that's just because I know it. Even if you don't, though, she did more with the tiniest of gestures and facial acting than every Elphaba in history on stage could never do.
Right. They got the assignment. I keep bringing up the producer's film because I love the producer's film, but I fully recognize that everyone is still playing to the back of the house, which it might be the only musical you can get away with doing on film that way. But it is the flattest movie possible. It's basically on stage.
Well, it's directed by the lady who directed the show.
What do you expect, right? And I'm happy with it because I just like it. But at the same time, Wicked. The actors understood they were in a movie and not on stage. The director, who I did not have faith in, like his past work is not something that I'm like, oh yeah, this guy.
I loved in the Heights though.
Well, okay, but that's so new. I guess that would have been the thing that would have probably put it over for him. I had sort of forgotten that. This other stuff is like fine, but
Step Up.
You know, but I think that he really does deliver on the question of why is this 2.5 hours? And what are you going to do that's interesting? But he doesn't allow the movie to overshadow the musical. And to understand that cutting things is dumb, we don't want that. We're going to allow the music to be the music. We're going to pace it the way it needs to be paced for that. Yeah. And we are going to, on the edges, find angles and interesting ways to rethink things. And, there's not a lot of corners cut. It's a very concrete variation of the first act with some extra brushwork. And is it a little, some people were like, oh, it's all CGI and blah, blah. And I'm like, that's why it was made. But it wasn't all CGI. Is the other thing that people don't understand is like Munchkinville was completely made. And, a lot of it was CGI supported.
CGI set extensions. But like when, when you see any close up of either Cynthia or Ariana, if they are singing live on set, even when Cynthia's hanging from cables flying in the air. Now, of course, it's a mix of studio work and overdub, and because we're cutting to different scales, of course, there's a CGI double of her for some of that, but a lot of it's not. When you look at the behind-the-scenes footage, she really did that loop on rigging, singing. Like, there's just craft going on in this movie that I didn't expect. Like, of course it's going to have digital CGI. Set extensions, but the entire Shiz lake surrounding the entrance, that was all real. That whole thing was built up to about 5 stories. Like, there's a level of craft and love for the material here that is absolutely undeniable. Like it or hate the material, they do it not only justice, but they elevate it to something else. And that includes the performances. Like you said, I think both of the leads got the assignment.
Someone said it best on Blue Sky when they said Ariana Grande speaks fluent Christian Chenoweth, and I was like, 100%. And the movie, no spoilers, but it's been out for a while. Like, you get an opportunity to also do that comparison, and you go, this works. Like, it's like no problems here.
And again, they are 2 performers who were in their teens and 20s when this show was out. This is a formative piece for them. So watching them, first of all, can we just also talk about the charmingly goofy interview process that they've been going through and all the press they've been doing where they're all over each other and crying and there's people macking on them and saying it's terrible and cringy. Fuck all of you for saying that, because they are being joyful and honest, and let's allow them that. And if you are uncomfortable by their very strange, funny, silly, heartfelt, in my eyes, antics during this press tour, you need to sit down with yourself and realize why you're uncomfortable, because it's not them. Yeah. It's fucking you. And it makes me so angry when I see people poking light fun at it. Fine, because it's funny and it's a pattern now.
Well, they should. It's always fun when press tours get punchy because they're boring as hell. And they're having fun, and they just decided very early on that they were just going to always have fun. And sure, I mean, why not?
There's one where they sit down with Adina and Kristen, and it's lovely. I think it was shot for Entertainment Week Tonight or maybe Variety. I forget. Anyway, but it's a long interview, and if you can find it, do, because there's just this love between all four of them and this mutual respect for
it's a sisterhood.
It's a sisterhood, and of course, the people, ribbing on all of it are mostly dudes, so get over yourself. Allow these female performers their space. And we're all holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity. That's very funny. I get it. And again, that is funny. That's a weird little interview moment. But at the end of the day, the emotion and reasons behind it are all really pure. All of that interaction to me is pure. And that purity comes out in their performance like crazy. And I mean, I know that Ariana Grande is, to some people, a very polarizing performer. I was won over by her on SNL a decade ago. And I went from going, oh, she's just this ex-Nickelodeon Pop-Tart, to go, wait a minute, you are fucking funny. And she has timing and chops and understands comedy and is a mimic. Obviously, we've all seen her do the things on Fallon, and she's fucking amazing. Yeah. But she brings this
for some reason wants to fuck SpongeBob. So
okay, sure.
Apparently she likes guys that look like me. I don't know. Whatever. Cool.
There you
whatever.
go.
Awesome. Works for me. Cool. I didn't know that was possible. Thank you, world.
She Glinda as a character. Kristen Chenoweth is amazing in that role, but Glinda is also if I have a dramatic problem with the show on Broadway, it's that the turnabout of that character and them becoming friends is a little rocky. You just have to sort of take it at face value that it's happening. It's not and that's not Kristen's fault. That's just, there's not enough time in the show and space in the show and close-ups in the show to understand why Glinda goes from being this social manipulator to helping this other woman. And in this movie version, you see that happen a lot better. And you see the dance at the club is wordless and had me in absolute tears. Yeah. And then I read something later on that Ariana did not want to see any of the choreography ahead of time for that dance. Oh, wow. So that when she has to do it, she's literally reacting the way Glinda would. And it's so good. And there's just so much to love about those performances. And most importantly, it made me think, okay, this second one, they're adding 3 songs. They're adding more story. I have a feeling if I'm a betting man, they're going to change the ending. I think that.
I hope
you
so.
want to know what I think?
Okay.
I think
Spoilers,
the
everybody.
Wicked Witch. I think the Wicked Witch dies. Air quotes.
Well, that's what happens in the thing, right?
But I mean, they're going to. Yes, it's what happened in the book.
Yeah.
Right. That she doesn't. Right.
Right.
So
and in the musical.
But what I mean is they're gonna make that into a very obvious hook for later stories with the two of them in movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
So spoiler alert, people.
It
doesn't end the way you think it does.
Not that. Yeah. For sure.
If you've only seen the 39 movie, that's not the full story. But that applies to the whole thing.
Yeah. And everybody else is doing really, really, really good work in this. Bowen Yang is super funny.
It's great. Bach, the guy who plays Bach, is so good.
We stand Bowen Yang. We stand, as we talked about last time, Bowen Yang and Ariana Grande being huge Disney Park nerds. God bless you. Come on, anytime. Michelle Yao can do no wrong ever. ever.
Perfect as Madame Morrible. Absolutely perfect.
I need to go back and I was telling Katie we're gonna do some 90s some of her 90s movies from some of the good stuff. I loved Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, he was great.
I think that is a controversial choice for some, in the sense that just because it's Jeff Goldblum, like, can he get over being Jeff Goldblum enough to be, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's what the Wizard is. Like, it works for me.
Yeah.
I heard that one of the reasons he was cast is because the director heard someone call him the Wizard of Oz, which is really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I thought he was great.
He
He was the right amount of awkward and charming. I heard a lot of people complain about how the ending takes Defying Gravity and splits it up with, you know, a big Marvel action scene. And I'm like, it's a movie. And in the show, at the end of the first act, that's what it's supposed to represent. She starts flying because she's getting away from being like, it is dramaturgically exactly what happens in the show, but that you can't show that.
If all she did was hover, you would be like, that's it.
Yeah, hover and sing, that'd be no fun. And again, that's a testament to how powerful this movie was, for me at least. Was it did that rare thing, and I'm the last movie that did this for me was probably something like Everything Everywhere All at Once, where I was crying and my jaw down to my knees from spectacle and joyously laughing, all in the same moment.
Yeah,
the last like 3 minutes of that movie, I was a wreck. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Yeah. Like, it's just a capital M movie.
I think this is a blank check term, but I just love a big titty movie. Like a movie, you know? Like, this is like, boom, 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 boom.
Girls are out. They got the girls out on this one.
Yeah. And it really is like a full on. I mean, it was 5 stars for me. I did not go in thinking it was going to be a 5-star movie.
No, nor did I. No.
And I went, I got a movie. Like, I went to the movies today. Like, that was the movies. And sometimes I don't get that. And so it's nice to be able to experience that. I also want to give Jonathan Bailey his due.
It's a thankless role.
It is thankless, but he does a very good job with it, and he has fun, and he is not playing that boy straight, and I appreciate it.
No, he is flirting with anything that moves.
He is the pantiest Lando Calrissian of all of Oz.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That whole library scene, I am here for pansexual Fiyero. Yeah.
Hello.
I've seen the show a couple of times, and one of the versions of Fiyero I saw was Adam Lambert.
Oh, cool.
That would be fun. He was in one of the national tours, and he was perfect in that role. Because he gave that energy. He gave, like, I'll fuck anything that moves, and I can hit the high notes, and I'm sexy as hell, you know? And then
he does Damaged good, too. That sort of, like, post.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. But that circular bookcase scene in the library, come on. That is
cool.
So good, and so well staged, and so well shot.
You will see that now in a new new production of Wicked. I can guarantee those big
they'll put it on stage.
Are coming.
100%.
Yeah, people are going to go. Oh, there they are, and it's going to.
I loved it. I cried many more times than I thought I would, and I bawled the last 3 minutes. I cannot.
I didn't cry.
This is the long.
I don't cry. I don't cry movies.
Yeah.
But
I'm a marshmallow. I cried.
Yeah. But I will say, I did that thing that only musicals can do to me generally, which is I run out of breath. I go like my whole she hits that note at the end of Defying Gravity, and I just go it's gone.
And I love her take on it. I love her take on the war cry. Like it's just so good. And you know, but again, it felt like you said, I got a much bigger capital M movie than I expected out of this, and 2 absolute capital M, capital S movie stars out of this.
For
like,
sure. For real.
They are both for real movie stars in this.
Yeah.
It's the longest intermission ever now, 1.5 years.
Yeah.
No, a year, right? It comes out in November next year.
Almost to the dot. So you got a year to smoke outside, people. Get that. Take care of it. Get in. Or I'm stealing your balcony seat. Which I did. I've done that. I do want to ask what you think Universal's now going to do from a parks perspective.
I mean, obviously it's, I think the movie is a big enough hit already that they're going to do something. I think that it won't be overnight. It'll be a very carefully thought out thing. I think for me, it's a hard question story-wise of where do you set it? When do you set it? And Potter went through this too, and the different Potter attractions all take place in kind of different eras of the story. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think it lends itself to a couple of big things. First of all, just placemaking, food and beverage is a natural. Like it absolutely. I want to be in the Emerald City, or even that Shiz Courtyard. My money would be on Emerald City for sure, and maybe a part of Munchkinland. Those environments are great. It lends itself to character interactions. It lends itself to food and beverage. It lends itself to a lot. From an attraction standpoint, that's a hard nut to crack. I heard somebody say, "Oh my God, I want a Soarin' over Oz," and I'm like, "Yeah, but is that really what you want to do with those characters to that song?"
We've done Soarin' around the world, and we all agree CGI Soarin's not fun.
Yeah, so. You could. This would easily be a fun book report ride in a boat, like a water ride. But again, what book report? What story do you tell?
Yeah,
and it's a hard one. It's a hard one.
It feels like it gets. For me, the question isn't, is Wicked going to be successful enough for a theme park thing, like a big thing, like a land. It's going to be, is the thing that they try to do inside of the franchise after the two movies successful. And if that show, or that we're not doing music now, but do you like it still? If that pulls off and they try to do Son of a Witch, or there's plenty of stuff.
The Cowardly Lion one. Or,
Cowardly Lion, and or the Elfie prequel, the Alphabet prequel, whatever.
Yep.
If that's as successful, then they're going to go, okay, now we can bank on it. Because we've got more than, two movies. Two movies is a rough sort of, in this environment, like you kind of want a little more juice. Like how much juice can you get out of two movies? Can you last, a short lifespan, a very short lifespan is 10 years. And they want to run something 15 to 20 if they can get it out.
And they had, they had Wicked at USJ for a while. I don't know if people knew this, but there was a couple years after USJ opened, they changed a whole section of it. There was a Western Street there, and which didn't go over well. Evidently, the Western they had stunt show there for a while, and it wasn't very popular. So they changed it to a very stylized Munchkinland street. And what was the Western stunt show, they enclosed, and they did a shortened 30-minute version of Wicked. And then it was next to the animal show stage, and they did one that was with Dorothy and farm animals was the overall theme. And I know this because I actually did a little bit of writing on this as a freelancer back in the early aughts. I think this was 2004, 2005 maybe. It was very short lived.
Do you write it in English and then a Japanese translator translates it and works with you?
I wrote it and all I wrote was treatment material for what the land would be. They showed me the art and they wanted treatment stuff for how to describe it, basically. So I didn't work on the concept. It was almost kind of done, and they just hired me to be wordsmith. But I wrote it in English and it was all translated. And that was very short lived. But Universal has owned the rights to this since the original stage show. They were part of the financing of it from the original production, so they knew. And it's It took a long time to get to this movie. For a long time, this movie was going to be animated, and then it was, they've been through 4 or 5 cycles of development, and so for it to come out kind of this perfect, and for it to come out with this much conviction in its scale and scope and budget is great, because it just shows that they were devoted to the material and devoted to making it bigger and making it better, fixing the problems of the musical, frankly, because there are dramatic problems with it for me. I think that it's a natural for the theme parks, but like you said, I think they will probably wait.
Yeah. I think that the other big issue is the Potter question, which is how do you not just do, you're taking a tour of Shiz, and then it's between the movies, and so Elphaba shows up and battles of something, and it's like brooms are covered at Universal Studios. We don't need any more brooms. And it's about how do you expand past witchery into other concepts. So whatever works. I want to talk just like super, super briefly because we're already running. It's just you and me. We get chatty. The Snow White trailer came out. Thoughts about the Rachel Ziegler as Snow White and what's her face? Wonder Woman. I can't remember her name.
Gal Gadot.
Imagine Gadot. From COVID days.
It's fine that they're doing these live action things. I think overall, I think that I don't love that this is a strategy, but there have been good ones. Like I thought the Cinderella one was actually quite great.
I mean, no one talks better about Pete's Dragon than you.
Than me, right? I love the Pete's Dragon one.
I don't think Pete's Dragon's fair though. Pete's Dragons is not. I mean,
it's not really
a live
a
action.
remake.
It's a It's like a
reimagining.
reboot. Yeah, it's like a reimagining. It's like a separate. Because you look at David Lowery did Peter Pan too, and it kind of has more of the issues that are on the end of this adaptation spectrum than say Pete's Dragon.
And this one obviously is going to have a bit of that too. They're making her a little bit more of a savior of the kingdom kind of part. I don't know what to think about the little person issue. It looks like to me like they've made them real creaturey and weird, and they don't look like humans at all. I don't know if that fixes the problem for little people who were concerned about this movie. I think we'll hear all about that when it comes out. I don't know. Rachel Ziegler looks great to me. I love the little bit where we hear a new song. She sounds great. I love her singing voice.
Look,
I just don't.
I want all the best for Rachel Z. She has had a tough go of it, to be honest. She hit it out of the ballpark with West Side, and then it's sort of been like hanging out with Zachary Levi and it's like, girl could use a win.
Girl could use a win.
So, I find it really weird that this wasn't the one they tried to do for the launch of Disney Plus. I just find it weird. I just think that.
Yeah, I think it would have been fine as a Disney Plus movie. I hate to say that, but
who? I mean, beyond the concept, beyond sort of like, I like the dwarfs and I'll buy a thing with them on it. Are there Snow White stands? And I mean like a legitimate amount of Snow White stands. I'm not talking like you can go Beauty and the Beast live action and I go, yeah, I get it. Cause like every girl I know growing up loved that movie. But Snow White's for grandmas. Like I'm not trying to be mean. I love Cinderella. Like Cinderella's I think a superior movie, but I don't know. I don't know who this is for. I don't know who it's for. Yeah. So,
but go to the Disney YouTube channel where the trailer premiered, and the comment section is vicious.
Yeah, it's going to be. I have a deep feeling that this is going to be a push out and call it. They're gonna put it out there, and it's going to do maybe okay, and they're going to be like, exciting news, we're putting it on Disney Plus early, like because we're celebrating Walt or something. This is like all of them. We won't be talking about it after it comes out at all. We do not have anything else to talk about today, but we of course have to talk to our dear friend, the Astuter Computer Poem of the Week.
That's why I'm a router for me computer. Everybody needs a friend.
Oh, Astuter, it's so good to see you. We've had some conversations, good and bad. What do you have for us today? What might you, let's see. Muppet vision fades. Henson's joy lingers in hearts. Chaos finds new stage. You know what? A little rough, Astuter.
That was a little rough.
Too close to home. A little too close to home.
Yeah,
but we appreciate you.
Too soon,
Astuter. Too soon. He is a big fan of that one robot from the newer Muppet movie that I don't remember. The Jason Segel one. There was a robot.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Right. Whatever. That's the problem. That's the problem, Disney. I'm going whatever.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, Anyway, Dave, it has been wonderful. It's always nice to chat with you, but we really got some intense Hartman Dave interaction, and we appreciate it. And I hope the audience does as well. Rat Castle is produced, of course, by myself, and then Sarah helps us as the pre-production producer, and Victoria is our social media producer. Find everything that you want at ratcastlepod.com, and then, of course, go over to my other podcast, which is under my production company, 710, and Fun with Dan Becker, and we are talking to Dolan from Offhand Disney. We do about once a month we have him come on. They used to do a podcast called Foolish Mortals about Haunted Mansion stuff, and there wasn't really enough to talk every week, and now sort of it's called Foolish Fun, and so he comes on, and it's sort of like a mini, not even a mini, it's the same length as any other episode, but it gets pretty crazy generally. So if you're interested in crazy, we have that over there for you, and it's available in your feed as we speak if you're listening to this. So check that out as well. And with that, grab your belongings, and Dave and I will still sit here because we're bolted to the seats, and exit to the left.
Will you stop this foolishness?
What foolishness would you like to see?
Will you get out of here?
This has been a production of 710 Media.